Have you ever had that feeling? That nagging sense that you're capable of so much more, but something invisible is just holding you back? It's like there's a silent barrier that limits how far you can really go. Well, in this explainer, we're going to explore those invisible walls. Not as something out there in the world, but as the limitations we place on ourselves. And more importantly, we're going to discover how to dissolve them, not by fighting them, but from a place of deep inner freedom.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by recognizing this cocoon that we build around ourselves. Then we'll face a really critical choice about how we choose to grow. After that, we'll get specific and identify the 6 main barriers that keep us stuck. From there, we'll look at what it means to unleash your true inner potential. And finally, we'll talk about the art of actually enjoying the whole process, making growth a fulfilling journey, not a chore.
All right, let's begin with the very first step, which is always the most important: awareness. This is about just turning our attention inward and acknowledging a feeling that, let's be honest, most of us know pretty well. That feeling of being contained, of living inside walls we can't even see. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Do you ever feel like you're walking through life but you're encased by something? A feeling that there's a ceiling on what you can achieve, or maybe who you're allowed to become? You know, that feeling isn't just in your head. It's a very real perception of a boundary that you've set for yourself. It's like a signpost that's pointing to the very edge of your current reality.
This idea of a cocoon it's just so perfect, isn't it? Imagine that we're all wrapped in this protective layer, but it's not made of silk. It's woven from the threads of our own perceptions, our beliefs, our pasts, and all the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. And that cocoon, well, it might feel safe, but it's also what defines the limits of our world. And ultimately, it can stop us from the very transformation we were born to make.
You know, so often, life just forces change on us, doesn't it? A crisis hits, a painful loss, a major setback, and these things can shatter our cocoon from the outside, forcing us to change. And look, growth can definitely come from that kind of hardship, but it is a difficult road. There is another way, though, a more intentional path, a transformation that we choose for ourselves, one that's born not out of pain, but out of a deep desire to evolve.
And this brings us right to the heart of it all, to the most fundamental choice we have on this path of growth. Are we going to wait for life's storms to come and break us open? Or are we going to find the courage to break out from within? The answer to that question? Well, it shapes everything.
There's a simple saying that holds such a profound truth. Think about it. An egg that's broken by an outside force, its potential is over. It becomes food for something else. But when that break comes from the inside, from the life force that's ready to emerge, that is the beginning of a whole new existence.
Let's break that down. When we're just reacting to external pressures, we risk becoming food for circumstance. Our lives get dictated by things way outside of our control. But when we make that conscious choice to start our own breakthrough, to shatter the shell of our own limitations from the inside, we're not just reacting anymore. We become life itself, creative, powerful, and truly deeply alive.
So, if we're going to break out from within, first we have to understand what's holding us in place. We need to identify the very threads that weave our cocoon together, the specific chains that keep us tethered. This next part is all about diagnosis, getting clear on what the barriers are so we can finally start to dismantle them. It turns out our inner limitations usually show up as 6 key perceptual barriers. And as I name them, I just want you to notice which ones feel familiar, which ones resonate. These are the chains we've got to see clearly before we can ever hope to break them. First, trivializing yourself. Second, the fear of failure. Third, the fear of criticism. Fourth, feeling like you lack the right conditions. Fifth, feeling like you lack understanding. And finally, number 6, lacking a vision for your future.
This first chain might be the sneakiest one. It's that quiet, constant inner voice that just whispers, "You're just ordinary. This is who you are. This is all you're ever going to be." When we define ourselves as average or unremarkable, we create a ceiling for our own potential before we even get started. It's really the deepest form of self-sabotage, because we become the very architects of our own prison.
The second barrier, oh, this is a big one, the paralyzing fear of failure. And this isn't just about feeling a little disappointed. It's a deep, powerful force that can stop us from even trying in the first place. It keeps us trapped in that safe zone of what if, always wondering about the person we could have been if only we had dared to take the leap.
And then there's the fear of what other people will think, the fear of criticism and judgment. This is a particularly heavy chain because it's tied to our fundamental human need to belong. We're terrified of what our family, our friends, our peers might say. The thought of their judgment can feel bigger than any other obstacle, and it can silence our own truth, keeping us living by their expectations instead of our own.
Barrier number 4 is that constant story of not enough. I don't have enough money for that. I just don't have the time. The conditions aren't perfect right now. This mindset keeps us in a state of forever waiting for a perfect moment that, let's be real, is never going to come. It is the ultimate excuse, a perfect justification for staying exactly where we are.
This one's a close cousin to the last barrier. It's rooted in that feeling of deficiency. I don't know enough yet. I'm not an expert. Who am I to even try this? We mistake our current level of knowledge for a permanent state of being, and we use it as a reason to stay put. But we forget a simple truth. You don't need to be an expert to start. You become an expert by starting.
And the final chain is the lack of a clear and compelling vision for your life. Without a destination, we're like a ship with no rudder, just drifting. Any direction will do, which usually means we just stay right where we are. Without that North Star to guide you, the future is just a fog, and the present becomes your permanent harbor.
Okay, so we've named the chains, and now we can begin to break them. We're moving from diagnosis to liberation. It's time to shift our focus from what holds us back to what is waiting for us when we are finally free. Let's really visualize the immense potential that's just lying dormant inside, ready to be unleashed.
I want you to build this image in your mind. Picture your truest potential as a powerful rocket sitting on the launch pad, fully fueled and ready to go. But it's held down, it's tethered to the ground by those 6 heavy chains we just talked about. Self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of judgment, and all those feelings of not enough. The engine is rumbling, but you're anchored right where you are.
Now imagine this. One by one, you make the conscious choice to cut those chains. You decide you're not ordinary. You decide failure is just part of the process. You release the fear of what others think. With each chain that falls away, you can feel the tension shifting. You can feel that upward pull, until finally the last one is severed. And then, lift off. You don't just inch forward, you ascend. You are launched into a completely new trajectory by the full, unrestrained power of who you truly are.
But here's the thing. This journey of breaking chains and launching forward, it is not a battle. It's not something you win by gritting your teeth and just forcing your way through. That's exhausting, and it never lasts. True deep growth comes from a much more graceful and powerful place. It comes from a state of willing transformation.
The real key here is to cultivate a mindset of enjoying the learning. And this is a profound shift. Instead of seeing all this inner work as some difficult chore that you have to do, you start to see it as a fascinating journey that you get to take. It becomes this voluntary, relaxed exploration of yourself. It's driven not by pressure, but by a deep curiosity and a sense of wonder.
And that right there is the heart of it all. This whole journey isn't about pressure, either from the outside world or from yourself. It's about gently and intentionally creating the inner space for your own breakthrough to happen. It's about getting quiet enough to hear the whisper of your own potential and then making the conscious, willing choice to let it come through.
And so, as we close, I want to leave you not with an answer, but with a question, a starting point. This isn't about tackling all 6 chains at once. That's overwhelming. It's about beginning with just one. So look at them clearly. Feel which one is the tightest grip on you right now. And then, with a sense of calm and willing intention, just ask yourself, which chain will I choose to break first?